everybody was ready and waiting eagerly for the results of this Sunday's elections, regional and municipal elections. We're now going to welcome back Arnold August. Arnold, are you still there for me?
Yes, I'm still here. How about you? Can you hear me okay?
Arnold, just hearing there from Diaz del Cabello, and he was saying much like you were saying, that this Sunday's vote represents a victory for Venezuela, the fact that it's actually taken place.
Exactly. So there you go. What I was saying, and many others are saying that, I mean, from the ground in Venezuela and other countries, just the holding of the elections was a victory, because the standoff on the one hand between the government, the civic military union on the one hand, and the United States and the allies on the other hand, they tried everything, they tried everything. Coup d'etat, even a military incursion between on the frontier of Colombia and Venezuela. We remember that when the fishermen actually caught these individuals led by the United States to try to infiltrate in Venezuela and create some kind of an excuse for a military intervention. Now, despite all that, the Venezuelan people, it's their conscience, their government, the military stood their ground to the extent that at a certain point, like especially this year, they were able to convince the most of the opposition to abandon Guaido and instead to fully participate in the Venezuelan elections according to the constitution. That was a great victory, because Guaido, supposedly the pretender to be president, has been completely isolated. And the Lima Group, which was founded mainly as a result of Trudeau's intervention on behalf of Trump, is completely dissolved. I mean, it fell apart. Even Lima left the Lima Group. So here we are in 2021, that the opposition, an important part of the opposition, rather than trying to overthrow the constitution, rather than trying to overthrow the government, actually took part in these elections today and in the weeks leading up to the elections today. So that, in my view, indicates that this is an important victory, and one has to, progressive people all over the world have to appreciate and hail the policy of the Bolivarian government to combine resistance with the military, at the same time uphold the possibility of negotiations. And this is what actually took place. So we will see what happens when the results take place. But in my view, for example, there might be a relatively low participation rate, as was the situation for the National Assembly elections earlier, or it might be a bit higher. But on that thing, even though we don't have the results, in my view, one cannot make put too much emphasis on the participation rate, on the voter turnout rate. After all, Venezuela has been under attack by the United States, not only since Chavez took power in January 1999, but right now, since then, especially since Guaido, almost every day sanctions. They're trying everything to destroy the Venezuelan society, break their moral fiber in order to get the people to revolt against the government and to become, just give Venezuela back to the United States so that it once again can become a colony of the United States. But this did not happen. And so just the holding of these elections today, which sidelined Guaido, who has completely lost any little credibility that he had, even amongst countries in the West. So they have reached this stage today, and is a great victory. We will see what happens. For example, if the opposition wins some states, some governorships, some local municipalities, well, so be it. It'll only strengthen in the long term the Bolivarian revolution, because they know that they have to deal with some of the issues that have been coming up in the last few months in terms of the way that the society is organizing the economy and all that. But the Bolivarian revolution, which has all that experience going back to the beginning of the century till now, will be able to overcome this situation where even if a few states are won by the opposition, they will be able to overcome that and turn it in favor of the Bolivarian revolution. And they can proudly say to the world, look, you said there's a dictatorship in Venezuela where no country has had so many elections in Venezuela. They say, oh, well, the opposition is not allowed to run. Well, the opposition ran today. No one stopped them from running. And irrespective of the outcome, their argument from the United States, Canada, and Europe, and Brazil and Colombia that Venezuela is not democratic. I mean, no country has had so many elections as Venezuela. And this one is very significant because the opposition actually participated. And so I'm very confident, hopefully, that the Bolivarian Revolution will improve, will increase the number of states, governorship, and the number of lawmakers in the state level. But we'll have to see for the results later on tonight or tomorrow. But I personally am very confident. I'd like to congratulate, if I may, the Nicolas Maduro government, the civic military union that has been defending Venezuela all this time while the entire imperialist alliance had been trying to overthrow that government. And of course, the consciousness. Every time I go to Venezuela, I am astounded. I shouldn't be because I know, but the political consciousness of the Chavistas, irrespective, there were 6 million, 7 million, 11 million, irrespective of the number, their political consciousness, their ideas have become a material force in Venezuela. And we have seen today in these elections that the United States, the most powerful country in the world, allied with the most reactionary governments, such as Brazil, such as Colombia, such as countries in Europe, and such as Canada as well, they were not able to overthrow the government. It's a very important thing. And just the holding of the elections is a victory for the Venezuelan people. And it's also a very good example for peoples all over the world, the importance of persisting in defending your principles and also holding up the olive branch to discuss with the enemy as well.
These elections are a victory for Venezuela. Thank you so much for joining us once again, and thank you for offering your insight into these elections held this Sunday in Venezuela. Thank you.